Shakes his head, the hook pops out, and then he's gone.
start. absolute rivalry and one can eat the other. And I thought, oh my God, I've got to just tune right out of this because I do not want to see this. It's normal for the development to be different because they don't hatch at the same time. There can be up to a week difference in the hatching time. And that they were both developing fine and that professionals did not see any evidence of all that sort. And then I tuned back in, was so relieved that we didn't have any terrible sibling having been back since they both flew the coop. When they got to a certain point where they looked big enough and ready enough to leave the nest, they didn't do it. But what they would do is they would take little leaps from one end of the nest to the other side. They're learning how to fly by not taking one huge leap and hoping their wings would work. But they're going first from one end of the nest to the other, and then you watch them go from one limb to the other close by.
As I was driving here on 95, 5 lanes one direction, 5 lanes the other direction. Of just road. 5 lanes one direction, 5 lanes the other direction. On just a square foot of road, there's no life. In a square foot of forest, you have so much life. Even in the soil, all the protozoas, nematodes, bacteria, that's incredibly higher in the forest because of the oxygen. And under the road, even in that soil under the road, you don't have as much life because there's no oxygen, it's compacted soil. And nothing can exist on a road, right? And nothing really exists above. You might have birds fly over, but in a forest you have layers. There's lots of layers of life in a forest, and we have these 10 lanes of highway, and it's just us.
Tree that was dead, and my neighbor said, why don't you make it into a snack and you don't cut it all the way down, you just cut it off where it divides at the trunk. It's still a home for a lot of animals. I'm across from an elementary school. With construction and stuff, they had to cut down a lot of trees, so I went to Maryfield and paid for a tree to be planted at Ashlon. The gardener told me that oaks have about 300 caterpillars that live on them, different kinds of insects. They're a very good tree to support wildlife. So I picked an oak to put at the school. That's one of the best things you can do is plant I think it's a white oak tree, has the most diversified life on it, and then it'll support the birds and other animals. I have a lot of chipmunks, squirrels of course, and in the summer I've noticed the butterflies. And they said it's really important to plant milkweed because the monarch caterpillars, that's the only plant they can eat. I'm trying to be more conscious of putting native plants, like tulips aren't native. Try to support the